Hey, Pure Soul members, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah. Welcome. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. I can't wait to share the spiritual focus topic with you this month. But before we get started on that, I do want to share a few Almapara updates with you. Our monthly Ask Nikki Zoom will be Thursday, December 15th at 6 p.m. So I hope you guys can join, and I really hope to see you there. I also wanted to say thank you for being part of the Almapara Pure Soul community. I love when we get together on our Ask Nikki Zooms. I feel like we learn so much from each other and we're really starting to get to know one another. And if you feel compelled to include some of your friends and family with the opportunity to connect as part of our community, I would love that. And of course, we would welcome them with open arms. So I encourage you to do that. Don't forget that as a Pure Soul member, you get 25% off of all the services, and that special will go through to the end of the year. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. I do have a few Christmas specials out there too that you can buy a bundle of half-hour sessions. So take a look at that. It's right on the front page, on the home page of the website. So you can take advantage of that. Maybe you want to share some Almapara session or experience with your friends and family over the holiday season. So I also invite you to take a look at that. So let's move right on to our December spiritual focus topic. And I just want to preface that by saying that the December spiritual focus topic is shared by Sadhguru this month. So I'm going to let you take a moment and take a listen to this YouTube short that I found that I think is just awesome, and I thought we could talk about that and make that part of our spiritual focus topic. So enjoy the video.
So whenever something hurts you, there are two options. You can either become wounded or you can become wise. This is the choice. The more things hurt you early on in your life, the wiser you should have become, isn't it? But unfortunately, most people become wounded. This is simply because they just need an excuse to turn their own intelligence against themselves, that's all. Especially if the world around you turns against you, is it not very, very important that your intelligence stands up for you?
Okay, right? When I saw this video, I was just blown away because it really describes to me my spiritual awakening and how that spiritual awakening really brought into my life a sense of wisdom. I kind of went from being wounded to being wise. And that's what this this YouTube short from Sadhguru really drives home. So when I saw it, it just impacted me so much that I wanted to share it with you guys for this month for the topic. So I don't know anyone, myself included, who at some point in their life hasn't felt wounded at one time or another. And just like every wound that occurs, if we don't take care of it, it gets infected, it spreads, and that's what tends to happen with our childhood traumas or difficult experiences in our life, that we just kind of try to brush them away. And we learn that technique in childhood. Children tend to cope with trauma better than adults do because as children, we learn how to cope with trauma by kind of dodging around it, sweeping it under the rug. And so as children, we don't really land so strongly into the impact of that trauma. It's not really until we're early adults that we realize that the coping mechanisms that we used as children, they left big gashes of instability or insecurity or emotional difficulty, that those coping mechanisms, the way that we swept it under the rug or kind of dodged around it, when we start to grow up, those wounds are still there and they tend to present themselves in other areas of our life. And those wounds, they get triggered over and over and over again. So we kind of end up feeling like we're always struggling with the same type of relationship or the same types of experiences in our job, and it gets really difficult. And so I guess an example of that would be like, I'm sure a lot of you already know this about me, but you know that my dad used to kick me out a lot. And ultimately, and for the last time, he kicked me out when I was 16. So let's call that experience my wound. That's the wound. And so I named that wound abandonment. So we all have a wound, and I guess what I'm saying here is maybe you can put a name to it, put a concept to it. So I named my wound abandonment. And just like every single wound does, I didn't realize that it was a wound, and I didn't care for it, and it kind of spread to other areas of my life. So even though abandonment was created when I was a small child, it filtered into different aspects of my experience, and I kind of started to see abandonment everywhere, whether it was at my job or in my relationships or in my friendships. It just became very apparent that that's the thing I always ended up dealing with. So keep in mind that the wounds that maybe in your reflection that you find in your life, you'll see that you revisit that emotion or that wound over and over again. Maybe it's portrayed in different ways, but you do revisit it. And just as an example of that, when I was in the military, my husband at the time and I had decided that we weren't going to have children until we were both out of the military. But to my surprise, we got pregnant, and he didn't want to move forward with the relationship or with being a dad, even though I begged him to live up to the role that he agreed to. He didn't. And so that, well, what did that represent? It triggered my wound, and it felt like abandonment. And when I was in that position of having this question of being a single mom, my friend had asked me, what are you going to do, Nikki, if you're a single mom? Like, how are you going to be okay, just you and a baby? And I remember that question itself triggered something in me. And what it triggered was this deep, deep sense of gratitude for my father for kicking me out all of those years, because I realized when I was faced with being a single mom that all of the skills that I needed to survive and to make sure that I could survive as a single mom, I had already learned in my teenage years. And I realized that I had been on my own for so long that I knew how to take care of myself. And I was doing a pretty good job at it. And I appreciated that at that moment when my friend asked me that question, I had appreciated that my dad's treatment of me ultimately created all these life skills and taught me how to take care of myself, how to make responsible decisions. And even though I don't like the situation of how I learned those things, I actually did learn those things. So when my friend asked that question, I found gratitude in those experiences with my dad. And that's when I recognized that no wound is without its own silver lining. No wound is without a gift in there for you, because even if the world creates these wounds for you, we have to remember that God has his hand in it in a way that will be plentiful for you, or abundant for you, or healing for you. It will give you something back. And so I believe that the way that we turn wounds into wisdom is to find the gift in the experience, even if it's a really difficult experience. It's 100% for sure that there is something in it for you. So just ask yourself some questions. And when this wound was created, what did it teach me? Who did I become as a result of that experience? What life skills did I develop because of that experience, because of that trauma? And when I discover who I've become as a result of it, meaning that it was something I needed in my life to become the person that I am. And in that moment, can you find gratitude for that experience? And the worksheet that I put together this month, it does touch on those questions. So I encourage you to reflect on this. It's a really healing inquiry to the self. Fill out the worksheet, take a look at it, and if you feel comfortable sharing what you discovered during this inner inquiry, I encourage you to bring it to our Ask Nikki on December 15th, Thursday at 6 p.m., because I do want to spend a little bit of time chatting about this and kind of sharing our ideas and communicating with each other, because really, you guys, I love when we do that because we really learn so much from each other, and it helps us to recognize the beauty of who we are in connection to others and how their impact on our life really supports our role in the universe. So if you feel uncomfortable enough to share your inner inquiry with us at the Zoom, I encourage you to do so. I also really believe that this is the absolute best exercise that I have found to heal some of the difficult experiences in my life. And I know if you take a look at it, it will help you to develop a new perspective to the trauma that you have experienced, and it'll help you see the gift in every experience that we have on this earth, whether it's positive or negative. So I'm going to run that video one more time because I think it's a really great video, but it also kind of sinks in when you hear it the second time. So here it is for you one more time.
Whenever something hurts you, there are two options. You can either become wounded or you can become wise. This is the choice. The more things hurt you early on in your life, the wiser you should have become, isn't it? But unfortunately, most people become wounded. This is simply because they just need an excuse to turn their own intelligence against themselves, that's all. Especially if the world around you turns against you, is it not very, very important that your intelligence stands up for you?
Thanks for watching today, guys. I can't wait to see you at the Ask Nikki on Thursday, December 15th. And good luck on your inner inquiry. Take a minute to look at that video and really reflect on this. This is the way to heal. I promise it works. Have a great day. See you soon.